and Jamal's awesome. But those guys blocking for him did an awesome job. I mean, they prepare well, they practice well every single day. They take great pride in it, and they all care. And they know who they're blocking for, too, because Jamal is a guy who can take it 102. You know, we feel like that in any phase, whether it's punt return or kickoff return, and those guys, they get detailed with it, and they want the coaching, and that's what's been fun. You know, there were so many good blocks from, you know, Chris Claybrooks. Manhurts had a great one, and DT had one, and obviously Chappelle with the finish. I mean, that him and Rudy running down at the end just shows who those guys. They're like that every day, and that carries over. That was cool to see, just that carry over into the game. Even Cisco had a nice block too. I mean, there was a lot of guys that made really nice blocks, and of course, it was an awesome return with a really good cut by Jamal.
Coach Meyer said that once you do something like that, then all of a sudden the other guys think, okay, now we can do it. And they maybe step it up a little bit, block a little bit harder, you know, do things a little bit better because they know that it can happen. Do you feel like that's, you probably think that the confidence was there the whole time, but do you think you can take it up another notch?
Yeah, it's a good point. I do think the confidence was there because I think they knew that because they practice that way every day, whether it's coverage or in the return game. But of course, it's good to have that solidified to show that, hey, just like we thought, you know, they look at each other, they know. And they obviously knew who they're blocking for too, but it's who those guys are. I think they'd block like that regardless of who's back there. I don't want to discredit how those guys work because they really do. They work hard every day.
What makes them, I mean, we saw that return, but what is it that makes him so special as a returner that we may not see?
Jamal, I mean, to me, he's got a great combination of how he has vision and strength, and he can cut. Like his one cut is really good, whether he's bouncing it or cutting it up, and then the vision to go with that. But he's got really good contact balance. You know, when you watch tape of him, you don't see him just going down easy. You know, he can take some hard hits and keep his feet. So I think a combination of all that stuff makes him, you know, pretty special. And the speed.
That's special. I mean, a lot of guys can't do that, right?
No, definitely. That's why I think he's the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You were a good special teams player yourself when you're here. You've obviously coached in Seattle. Are you still learning? Are you learning things from Urban Meyer, who prides himself as being one of the, you know, a good, very good special teams coach?
He's a great special teams. I mean, he's absolutely. We talk consistently. He always had a specific plan. I think we are aligned in a lot of ways of how we view how you play special teams, and it starts with their effort, and it continues with that being relentless in that phase, in that aspect of it. You got to have that first always, and that needs to be continually coached. And he always sees things and stays on me about, you know, certain things, and just being able to talk through stuff with him has been huge just over the last few months, you know.
Nick,
but I appreciate it.
Coach that had the same philosophy about that. Is it similar working with Urban as with Frank?
As far as how it's stressed, yeah. I mean, Coach Beamer was unbelievable in the way, you know, he was our head coach at Virginia Tech, and he was our special teams coach. So in the same light, that brings the stress and the understanding of how the importance of it is, you know. And when your head coach is involved like that, it ups it, you know. So he's involved. He'll come in there and coach as well. And to me, that's a blessing because then the players are there, they're listening, and when your head coach is doing that, I mean, it grabs the attention of everybody, and they understand the importance of it.
So does that motivate them instead of just being thought of as afterthoughts? You know, you're just on special teams.
Absolutely.
Elevates that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the competition is there. I mean, at our practice, pretty much everyone's doing the drills, the whole team. I mean, to a man. I mean, really not just because of that, but again, I don't want to discredit to who those guys are. You know, every single one of our guys is involved. They understand the importance, how it can change a game, how it can affect the game, you know, positive and negative. So when your head coach is in there and he's stressing it as well, that's how it was with Coach Beamer. And he made it a huge importance. It was really one of the first things we did, and guys would compete to be on those teams, and I feel like our guys are doing the same thing because they understand the importance.
How do you feel Josh has responded, you know, to the last few games? I know Urban
Say
said,
that again?
How do you feel Josh has responded, you know, to the last few games? I know Urban said his work ethic is why he thinks he'll get out of it.
That's it. I mean, I think we all feel the same way. I don't think we've wavered on our faith because we know how much he cares, and he spends the time. And he'll produce. I know he will.
Kind of been overlooked a little bit, partially because of Josh's struggles, but just talk about the performance of Logan Cook so far, because it looks like he's kind of raised his game, and his game is at a pretty good level anyway.
Yeah, he's really good too. Logan is, I mean, this is how he kicks every single day. I mean, he's, you know, I don't know what the stats are throughout the league, but again, one of the top punters, if not the best. And same thing, he's got a great demeanor about him, but he's a competitor deep down. Like, he understands he has a plan every single day, just like Josh does, just like Ross does, our snapper. You know, they practice with a plan, and it's really cool to see.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
To practice, getting ready for a great offense coming in, so let it rip.
Kyler Murray, how do you contain a quarterback
Whew.
with skills like that?
I'll tell you what, that's a fast cat. Now, one of the things with him, we got to do all 11. You know, when you'd like to have all eyes on him because he can beat you with his arm and his legs, and he extends the plays so well. So you think you have him pinned on this throwing hand, he spins out opposite, and then all of a sudden someone comes out of the coverage, and then he always hits the guy. So I mean, now he'll throw some up too, but I tell you, it's gonna be a battle every snap, keeping him in the pocket, he's gotten out on everybody. So not only when he does get out, we have to have guys there shooting their gun, and we got to make sure we stay in our coverage, our plaster rules. But it's gonna be a challenge. He's you know. As a rookie, I remember we played him where I was at before, and it was a challenge. So it's going to be a challenge.
Is that key, Joe, that if he does make the mistake and throw you the ball, you got to catch it?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, opportunities that are there, you got to catch the ball, and that's a big thing. You know, the one, you know, having opportunities when they present itself, you got to catch the ball.
Does it help you that you practice against Lamar Jackson for so many years, and it's kind of a similar type of quarterback that you just scramble around, throw it?
Well, yeah, it helped, but I don't know how much help it gave us. But no, absolutely. And we have things that we're doing here to do that. So practice-wise, and you put guys in there to do the scramble drill. But absolutely. But it's, you know, still, you can have people on them, have eyes on them, and the guys like that are a rare breed, and they find a way to, one, be elusive with their legs and then throw the ball. That's the thing about those guys. Both those guys that you just mentioned, Kyler and Lamar, they have great arms too. Not only arm strength, but accuracy when they throw the ball on the run.
Joe, have teams had any success maybe playing more zone against him, spying him, mush rush, some of those things?
You know, it's kind of a mixture, Mark. I mean, I think you definitely don't want to have your back turned all the time in man, but having zone eyes. Minnesota last week had some zone eyes and broke on the ball and had two big interceptions, you know, as you know, one for a touchdown. So that's a big thing. When we have the opportunities, like John said, we got to make sure we cash in.
Urban Meyer talked earlier this week about how one play can really energize and turn the fortunes of a team around. Have you talked to your defensive guys about how, I mean, Shaq's come close to having interceptions in back-to-back games, how that one play could turn everything around?
Absolutely. I've been part of that before where that one play has, you know, I mean, I go back to, you know, you don't know when the play is going to come, but you know, you think of the second play, and not to rehash old things, but the second play, Shaq picks that, it's on the 30-yard line, but we just need one. That you don't need two or three, you need one to get the fan base going crazy, give the ball to the offense on inside the 5-yard line, maybe a sack fumble, but we need one to ignite the whole team.
How would you rate your progress from Houston to Denver?
Well, it's like anything. Like, you know, you got to win. You got to get better every day. Every day in practice. But the thing I thought we did a better job of is like the communication, not just from me going into the signal call of Miles, but Miles getting into everybody being on the same page, getting the call and being ready when the ball snapped and executing their jobs. That was the big thing, and I think we made great progress. Got him in a lot of second and third and long, so that helped. You know, knocking out the run, making them one-dimensional. That's a weekly thing, no matter what. I mean, if you give this team the option to run the ball and do what they do throwing the ball, it can't happen. But we made progress. Still got to keep improving. We got to be better on the deep ball. You know, everyone wants to talk about you stop the run. It takes all 11 to stop the run. It takes the corners being in position. It takes the safety fitting where it needs to fit. It takes the D-line being in their gaps, playing square, knockback. Well, guess what? On the pass, on the deep ball, you got to get a better rush. It starts with the rush. And then we got to make sure that, you know, deep is the deepest, wide is the widest. And we just got to make sure the ball ain't thrown over our head.
So much talk, obviously, about Kyler and his receiver core, right, and rightfully so. But you alluded to it a little bit in terms of trying to negate the run. Is that something that maybe you can, maybe not focus on as much against Arizona because of what they can,
Well, I
what
think-
Kyler can do and what the receivers.
I
can
think, Gene, you got to say to yourself, one, you want to make sure, I mean, obviously, loaded box when they have like Eagle personnel, 4 wides and they're out. I mean, it doesn't, you just got to make sure that the coverages that we play, the defenses that we play, you're sound on everything, number one. But obviously, we got to be great, sticking to their receivers if we are in any man, having eyes in our zones, getting to our drops, so now we can break back up if he does. That's the one thing about when you're playing zones, there's more eyes on a guy like that can run. But it still starts with knocking the run out, and then really eliminating the big play. Sometimes when you make a team drive 10, 12, I mean, you don't like it, but they're bound to make a mistake, and that's what has shown up.
I don't want to go back too much, but the little drag route from Tim Patrick they scored on, where did you guys go wrong there?
Well, it's like anything, we were bringing pressure there, and it's on the motion, and that's where they get you. So you get the guy in motion, and then you'd like to get the double on that guy coming back. Not all the time you can, but would like to get the double there.
Should Caleb have knocked him into next week? When he loops right there at the edge and in front of Caleb on. Or I mean, like Caleb just kind of let him go because I think he's focused on the quarterback there.
Yeah, you're talking about the one in the red zone for the touchdown?
Where he looped in the drag route.
Yeah, he was rushing on that one. So he's a pass rusher.
I guess I was just getting in the weeds a little bit. Should Caleb have chucked him right there too?
Yeah, if you can knock someone on the way to the quarterback, yeah, you can. But we should have had a double on it.
Any concern on your part that 2 weeks in a row, the opposing team has gotten what you would probably consider an all too easy touchdown in the red zone?
Yeah, we got to be better. We got to play better. Mm-hmm.
Shaq Quarterman played a few more snaps in week 2 than he did in week 1. Is he a guy that you're just trying to find a way to get him on the field a little bit more?
Well, and then you're rolling the linebackers a little bit, so it's instead of playing 60, you're playing maybe 45 snaps. Damian, but yeah, and he's earned that right. Guys like the front guys will roll linebackers. Sometimes in the secondary you don't do that as much, but Shaq has earned that right. Damian's playing well, but he's earned that right.
Sorry, have you gotten to see enough of Trey this week to feel comfortable with him if he's able to come back?
He's working at it. He's working at it.
Is the plan again for Andrew and Andre to kind of rotate at safety?
Yep, we get those guys rolling. Andrew played well. I mean, Andre's coming along. He did some good things, but yeah, they plan to roll.
Is that a season-long thing where they're going to roll, or is it whenever somebody sets themselves apart?
Kind of both. I mean, they both have deserved, obviously, playing time, and we'll roll them.
How pleased or displeased were you with the pressure that you got on the quarterback last week?
No, I was pleased. I mean, shoot, we had 3 sacks, and I was pleased. We got to keep getting. Not good enough, but it was pretty good.
When CJ went down, Tyson Campbell moved outside. What did you see from him playing on the outside, and is that a spot you're comfortable with him playing?
Yeah, and he can play both, and yeah, because that's one of the things he did a lot of in college, and he's done that here. Those guys, Tim and Joe, have done a great job rolling him back and forth. He covered well. He did a good job, and I think he's only going to get better. He has the speed to cover those guys. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Joe.
That's why we always wear sleeves around in the indoors.
Hey, Darrell, over the course of your career, you've probably been as balanced between the run and pass in the league. Pretty close to 50-50, especially if you take away the last 2 years in Detroit.
What has happened here in the last couple of games beyond the fact that you fell behind? You're still throwing at a 70% rate in the first half in both games.
Well, I mean, situationally has a lot to do with it, and if you go back, one game, we had a lot of penalties, bad, down and distance situations. I mean, in this game, you can't count like the 11 play passes in a row in the 2-minute drive. Up before that, I think we were like 59, somewhere around that 60-40%, run pass. Still, I mean, I'm gonna stand up here all the time and tell you that's the goal. Is to be balanced. And I think that puts more pressure on the defense when you can do that. But there's, again, I think I said it last week in terms of the run pass. Sometimes, one's called and the other happens, just depending on what's presented to us. So, but that is always the issue when you run some of those plays, that you don't end up with the numbers that you're looking for of the runs.
Is balance in the NFL these days really 50-50, or is it really more kind of 55, 40. I mean, we get, there's some outliers like the
Right.
Titans and the Ravens and what have you, but I mean, for the most part, is it more 55, when we say balance, is it more 55-45 than it is 50-50?
Yeah, and I mean, the game's changed a little bit, you know, in terms of, I do believe that the league is passing more. But with the, you know, the inventing of, you know, some of the college stuff coming up into the NFL with the RPOs, and those kind of things, those are where, you know, where you all of a sudden have a little bit more passes that skewed, where we will count those as runs. You know, as long as you're still getting, you know, those yardage, if you're getting, you know, 5, 6, 7 on those RPO throws, then we say, hey, that's as good as what we're trying to look for in a run.
Last thing is your hope that you can get that ball in James Robinson's hands a lot more, you know, get him closer to 20 than than 5 or 10.
Yeah, and we need more plays. You know, so you look last week. I mean, we had 9 drives, and so I mean that's on us as well. I mean, we have to do a better job on first and second down. We have to convert on third down to be able to get more plays. Like the first drive. I mean, obviously that's how you would love to play the game. I thought the drive went really well. We executed. We even overcame a penalty, and so that's what we're looking for. But from there was too many 3 and outs. I think there's only 8 more drives left, and half of them were 3 and outs. So there's no plays, and you know, that'll really help us.
This is the first time Trevor Lawrence ever lost back-to-back games in his entire life. How do you see him dealing with that? Has he changed his routine any? Do you just see him working harder on what he's already been doing to continue progressing?
No, I think his just as far as the personality and who he is, he's been great. And you know, we're all trying to get better in all areas, and you know, he's no exception. And I thought just from game 1 to game 2, you know, maybe not from everybody's perspective or numbers or any of that, I mean, there was improvements that he made and things that we're excited about. And Trevor Lawrence is going to be fine, but we just need to continue to to get better around him, and then, you know, continue to get better at his position as well.
Just 2 sacks allowed this season. How do you feel your offensive line has played?
I was really happy with the offensive line last week in particular. You know, again, you know, with Chubb and Von Miller on the outsides there, I thought we did a really nice job in protection. But it doesn't stop there. You know, it's what have you done for me lately? And, I mean, we got a huge challenge this week with Golden on one side and Chandler Jones. You got J.J. Watt inside. You got Buda Baker coming off the edge. So this is as good of a defense as Denver, and, you know, maybe better in some of the other areas that they have. So we're going to have to do it again. We got to prove it each and every week.
DJ Chark has 4 catches, I think, on like 16 targets, maybe 19 targets. Any frustration on his part, and, you know, or any concern? Maybe is it still a finger or this, that, and the other? Are you worried at all about DJ?
I mean, I think there's frustration on all of our parts, you know, across the board. I mean, we have a standard that we're trying to live up to, and we're definitely a work in progress, and we're trying to get better, you know, all across the board. I wouldn't just, you know, single out DJ. I think it's all of us.
After that first drive on Sunday, the offense really, fell asleep. How do you prevent that? I mean, you want to get that fast start this week, but how do you make sure that you can carry that fast start through the rest of the game?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. That's exactly what we're trying to do, right? The first drive, they did a really nice job, and then the next drives after that, we didn't stay on the field. And so whether it comes down to the first down play or whether it comes down to third down play, you know, one of the drives we went run, had a 3rd and 3, and we didn't catch the ball. Right, so it's like we're just alluding to. It's all frustrations by all of us, and all of us have to do better. And when you get an opportunity to make your play, you have to make your play. I mean, that's what it is in the league. And you know, whoever it is, you know, I'm not singling out anybody, but whoever it is, you have to make your play when you get an opportunity to make your play.
Even with some of the mistakes, do you still want to emphasize with Trevor, you know, his aggressive mindset? Because it certainly seems like, you know, he's one of the more aggressive quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take away, you know, what's inside these guys. You know, the quarterbacks. We want to help coach him to enhance it, and so we're not asking him to, you know, not play the way he wants to play. But there are things that he can improve on. You know, we can get to our checkdowns quicker, through progressions quicker, and, you know, the more that he sees defenses, he'll start doing that. Also, there's opportunities to use his legs. When he gets those opportunities, you saw him do it twice in the game, which, you know, was an improvement. And so all these areas are things that we're, you know, continuing to work with him on.
Do you feel like he took a step forward in some areas last week? He said yesterday he felt like he did.
Yeah, I would say it was a better game overall for him. Like I said early, you know, it was maybe the numbers aren't what you're looking for, but just in terms of some of the things that he did make improvements in that game.
Darrell, is the stuff you're talking about, the check down, knowing when to run, is that just week 3 rookie quarterback stuff?
Yeah, I think it's a feel. You know, because you go back and watch him, you know, play in college, and I mean, he's running and doing all those things. And then, so when when you become a young player and come in, like, it could be at times more like painting by numbers. Like, I'm supposed to do this, then I'm supposed to do that, then I'm supposed to, oh yeah, I can still run, and I can, all those things. And when you get a more natural feel of and let the game come, and you understand what we're doing so well on our side of the ball, that you don't have to really, think about, okay, I go here and then I go here, and you get that comfort level, then all that stuff starts to open up. And I saw that happening last week.
Some of his errant throws came during the rain. Was there a concern that maybe the wet ball, it's a bigger ball, a different ball, you guys didn't practice a lot during the rain in the summer.
Right.
Was that, do you feel like you chalk some of those up to just?
Well, I know definitely the one to Marv, when Marv was around the corner route, that ball, slipped out and sailed on him. And, it's just something that, I wouldn't say it's a concern, no.
James O'Shaughnessy, how do you see the tight end with him going on into reserve? How do you feel his role in the passing game? I mean, is this a spot where Hollister can kind of slide in and help out some?
Well, that's the next man up, So Hollister will be going this week, and we'll fit him into the different roles and positions that we need him in to help the offense.
Got a little different question for you. With your conversations with Coach Meyer, is there any type of conversation that you kind of tell him just how difficult this league is, and do he kind of collaborate with you, since you being one of the veteran guys, or just does he ask you just like the difficulty of this league?
Well, I mean, we're in constant communication all the time, and we talk we talk all the time, and he's in a bunch of the meetings. We communicate, and I do think he's getting, you can tell probably by some of his comments that he understands, and he's learning the league and all those things. So it's a learning, like I said, it's a learning process for all of us, and we're all trying to get better. But the communication is always there, and I don't know if I would say, I don't want to speak for Coach Meyer on what he's learning, but yeah, it's each and every week. They're the best players around, and you got to be ready to go.
Coaching too. I mean, like you got a plan, they have a plan. I mean, does that get lost in the shuffle a little bit? There's always talent, but
right.
There's also schemes.
Yeah, we're trying to put them in the best positions to be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like the wide receivers haven't been creating a whole lot of separation down the field at times. How is that something that you can improve on?
Well, I mean, there's different ways to be able to do it. It depends on what they're playing when you're asking those questions, whether they're playing man, whether they play zone, and then if they're playing man, the different ways that we can help them. So we have all the abilities to be able to do that.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.